All right, let's take that from the top again. Monty, do you want to introduce us?
Sure. Welcome everybody. This is the official MCG staff playing Numenera tonight, and I am Monte Cook. I am the lead designer and one of the founders of MCG, and really happy to be the GM tonight. Shauna.
I'm Shauna Germain. I'm co-owner of Monte Cook Games and a editor and designer. I worked on most recently on games like Nothing for Evil and Predation. And we don't get to game as often as we like, so I'm super excited to try out this Twitch thing and see how it goes. I'll pass you to Bruce.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Bruce Cordell, and I'm senior designer at Monte Cook Games. I've been a long-time game designer and writer, and like Shauna says, I'm always happy to sit down and play a game. Sean?
I'm Sean Reynolds, and I am the project manager at MCG, and I also have a small role on the design team.
And I'm Darcy Ross, so I'm your community relations coordinator even, and I'm going to be your DataSphere technician today. So we already are doing it live, which is exactly as the ancient ones would have wanted. So we're really excited that you're joining us here today on our Twitch stream. So if you are interested in seeing more games that we run, you should definitely follow us up above and be notified when we run future Twitch streams. And if you haven't already heard, we are running a Kickstarter for Numenera 2, which is what we're kind of going to be giving you a glimpse into today. So check out the Numenera 2 Kickstarter down below, and yeah, check that out. But Monty, why don't you tell new folks what Numenera is all about if they haven't encountered it before?
Sure. So if you are just now coming to this and you haven't seen anything about Numenera or haven't seen much, Numenera is a science fantasy role-playing game. It is set a billion years in the future, and in that time, many civilizations have risen to great heights and then fallen. And the game is set in what the locals call the Ninth World, which is a new civilization rising up amid the bones of the prior worlds. And their own level of sophistication is relatively primitive, but they're surrounded by all the leftovers from these past civilizations, which is manifests itself as incredible technology. But of course, Ninth Worlders, for the most part, they can't understand the technology entirely, and many of them think of it as magic. But regardless of how you look at those things, it's all called the Numenera, everything from the past. So that's where the name of the game comes from. Now tonight, our brave explorers come from a town called Ellomyr. And Ellomyr is, if you've been following along in our Numenera 2 Kickstarter, the center point of the narrative that we have been building as we are growing and expanding the Kickstarter. And so we've been doing fun things with updates and watching as the town grows and as the backers actually participate in creating the narrative that evolves around Ellomyr. Now, not terribly far from Ellomyr is a place that the locals call the Valley of Sins. And this is a forbidden place filled with danger, but also perhaps valuable wonders. Again, leftovers from the prior worlds. So our explorers have left Ellomyr and have traveled to the Valley of Sins in their very cool, recently built vehicle that they call the Gambado. And Darcy, can you show us a picture of that?
Of course. It would be my pleasure. So hopefully that is showing you the beautiful and mysterious Numenera vehicle that we've all just arrived on.
Cool. And that vehicle itself has come out of the narrative that is following along with the Kickstarter. So it's just kind of a taste of some of the stuff that we've been doing. Now, what I would like to do is for all of my players to introduce themselves as their character and not only tell us who you're playing tonight, but tell us why you specifically have come to the Valley of Sins. And let's start this time with Bruce.
So I am playing Sunal, who is a curious delve who breaks down walls. And Sunal, as a delve, is really all about going into these ancient ruins and checking out the Numenera, right? That's his life's blood. That's what he most wants to do. So the opportunity to be here in the Valley of Sins, even though it's claimed many lives before, still excites him. I know his sister, Gayla, may have slightly different views.
So I'm playing Gayla, a gregarious wight who possesses a shard of the sun. And I am, as Sunal said, I am Sunal's sister, and I am really, really falling in love with Ellomyr. I'm sort of tired of living from ruin to ruin, but I can't let my brother go into this dangerous space alone. We've done this together for so long. So I am coming along with him on this next trek, really torn about what my future looks like. And I may or may not have tried to bring Syl with us for my own nefarious purposes.
Excellent. Should I introduce Syl? Lovely. So Syl is a little less experienced than the rest of these people, but Syl still has a lot to bring to the table, more than she knows, I think. So she is actually, if you've been following along with the Ellomyr narrative, Gurner is or was a leader of the town and a storyteller, and has recently, or not too long ago, but still very recently in her heart, passed away. So Gurner was Syl's grandfather. So she's grown up in Ellomyr. She knows it well. She knows all of these people, and she has a kind of good thing going. But there are a lot of changes coming to Ellomyr, and there's all of these visitors coming by, and so there's a whole world that she's now kind of aware of. So she is a swift jack who exists partially out of phase, and it's actually Sean's character who helped her find out that she had this mysterious ability to phase. So I'm not sure if that character will tell the story or not, but but she's also listened a lot to Bruce's character Sunal's stories about the bigger world out there. So she's come along for this journey, but maybe we'll have some learning to do along the way.
And I'm playing Yaren, who is a strong-willed Arcus who controls gravity. I was apprenticed to Gurner, helping him run the town of Ellomyr. So community service is sort of his focus, and his outlook is that he has a responsibility to be with these other explorers as they are searching for Numenera to help fortify the town and improve the town. And on a personal note, his gravity powers malfunctioned recently and accidentally threw Syl high into the air. But fortunately, she had apparently an unrecognized talent for phasing through objects, and so she managed to land safely. But I still feel very guilty about that, and so I have a kind of a protectiveness towards her as she ventures into this dangerous area with us.
Cool. We're going to start right in on the action here. You have, like I said, come to the Valley of Sins, and none of you have been to the valley before, but you've heard tales of those who have come back. As Bruce suggested, not everyone has come back who has gone to the valley, but some have, and they've told you stories. But nothing has quite prepared you for what you see once you get there. Once you stopped your vehicle and climbed out, the first thing that probably surprises you is that the valley, despite all the warnings about the dangers of the valley seems to just teem with life. It is thickly forested with a wide variety of lush plant life. You can see birds everywhere flying, insects, little creatures scurrying among the branches of the trees. It's a very, very alive place. And at the center of the valley, pretty much visible from almost anywhere in the valley, is this massive single structure. It looks sort of like a tower, but you can't see it very well because it is shrouded in this weird blue mist. And you have heard about this mist. You have been actually warned against it because one of the things, and perhaps one of the reasons why it's called the Valley of Sins, is that supposedly, if you've ever told a lie in your life and you enter that mist, you will literally be turned inside out to expose all the lies within. That is the rumor, that is the legend of the Valley of Sins. So the people who have been here before and talked about it have basically just said, just stay away from the blue mist. There's plenty of other things to investigate and explore in the valley, but the blue mist, just not a good idea, unless you happen to believe that you have never told a lie in your life. And then maybe, who knows, if the legends are true, maybe you can pass through unscathed.
As a person who has a political background, Yaren thinks he's going to steer very clear of the mist.
Probably a good plan. Now, as I said, we're going to start right in the middle of the action. So you've already left your vehicle, perhaps sort of on a ridge on the side of the valley, and descended down into it. Again, you've seen lots and lots of interesting creatures, life that you've never seen before, plants that you've never even heard of before. And it does seem like there are some strange, not living objects scattered throughout the valley. You're not really sure what they are. Too small to call structures, but made of metal or synth. And so these are probably the things that have really attracted your attention. However, unfortunately, you have discovered that there is perhaps an apex predator that lives in the valley. And Darcy, do you want to show the image from?
Absolutely.
From the recently unlocked, or rather about to be unlocked, hopefully, Numenera Bestiary 3.
So it should be showing this very angular, nasty beastie, very triangular, and so have we ever seen this before, Monty?
No. So what you see is this horrible beast. It's probably 12 feet tall when it rears up. It's got this kind of very angular, triangular tooth-filled mouth that just opens and just is terrifying when it does. This creature is not all simply organic. It doesn't seem anyway, because there are what you sometimes have heard called bioorganic components to it. Its legs appear actually to be mostly metal or synth. And so it is a weird fusion of both flesh and machine, but every bit of it is terrifying. And it crashes through this forest. And the nice thing is that it seems like the other inhabitants of the forest are well adapted to avoiding it. And so when it's coming at you, you get a little bit of a warning as you see small animals and birds and whatnot scurrying away, and then suddenly this thing crashes through. You have managed to avoid it so far, but you know that it's here, and you know that it probably knows that you are here, but you haven't actually gotten close enough. You haven't engaged it. It hasn't been close enough to strike you yet. But it is terrifying, and I mean, you all have great capabilities, and you have not come to the Valley of Sins unarmed. However, this thing looks terrifying and something that you don't want to have to fight unless you absolutely have no other choice. You're guessing, and that's up to you. But this is scary. So, Unfortunately, as you have made your way down into the valley, you now think that the creature, we'll just for now call it the hunter. The hunter is between you and your vehicle, and somewhere sort of on the ridge, moving around, hunting. And you are deeper and farther down into the valley, not to the point where the blue mist starts, but deeper into the valley. And you're laying low, trying to keep quiet, at least for now, until you formulate some kind of plan of how you want to deal with the hunter, whatever that plan may be. However, I will say that Gala, you have spotted through the trees, through the leafy green branches, something glistening in the sunlight, and it is probably about early afternoon. The weather is very clear.
Are we hunkered down in a sort of like place where we can talk without being heard? When we're far enough away from the hunter that it's not going to hear us if we talk, right?
You think so? The hunter is
Right?
it's on the move and it's hunting, but right now, you don't think it's so close that you have to worry about that, and you have the advantage of being in an extremely thick, lush forest. So there's lots of side.
If we had a little time before this point, could I use my anecdote ability to give everybody an inspiring speech and make them trained in sneaking?
Sure. Oh, and our Jack needs to pick a flex skill too before we get really started here.
It's true. So your Jack is going to be picking perception. I'm just imagining Syl's eyes are as big as saucers right now, and is just trying to take in this very, very different world that's around her.
One of the things that is actually most disturbing about the hunter is that it makes no sound. It does not roar or screech or whatever. It is silent until it comes crashing through the trees and the branches.
All right.
So, Gayla, have you told us that you've spotted this shiny thing?
Not yet. I was getting to that, but I wanted to. Okay, so I'm gonna tell everyone, point in that direction, and say, do you see that glistening thing? Is this like anything we've ever seen before, Monty? Is it? Or
No,
is it just
all
totally
you
weird?
see, there's something shiny through the leaves.
Okay.
Right, at this point, you have no idea what it is.
And do we get a sense of how far away it might be?
It should be not, maybe 100 yards away at most.
Oh, okay. Do you guys see that?
Oh, now that you pointed it out, I definitely do.
Well,
So
we should
just-
maybe take advantage of the Arcus's sneak ability that he's told us how to actually pull it off, and head over and check that out.
I
Maybe
think I
it'll
can
be
do
a way
it.
we can get around the hunter.
Or will we be a weapon against the hunter? That's what my
Let's do
hope
it.
is.
Okay.
So we sneak?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go toward that carefully.
All right. Then, if you guys are going to try to be stealthy and quiet, keeping in mind the hunter is a ways away, right? It's not breathing down your neck, so it's okay. But I still would like each one of you to make a roll for your sneak action.
Okay.
And you rolled a
13.
13.
I thought that was a 4.
Not
Shauna?
helpful way.
I rolled a 19.
Wow.
I'm gonna want that later. That 19.
I did not roll a 1. I rolled 100% better than that. I rolled a 2.
Oh my gosh.
You rolled a 2.
I'm trained.
Oh, there you go. I rolled a 15. Still
Okay.
doing all right.
So for the most part, you guys are fairly quiet as you're making your way through the underbrush, and I mean you're definitely you're being quiet, but you're leaving a path, right? Which is almost as bad, but not as bad as being loud, and it's a descent the whole way as you move down into what almost seems, at first you think it's just some kind of a gully or a depression, but what you realize as you move closer is that you're moving down to what looks like a perfect circle, probably about maybe 15 yards across. And it looks like it's made out of stone, and the stone has a very elaborate and deep relief cut into it. But perhaps more impressively, surrounding it are huge plinths of what look like transparent glass. So the whole thing kind of looks like a small henge, but made out of glass. With this circular stone, at least you think it's stone, kind of platform in the middle of it all. And as you are making your way up to it, Sunal, this gym intrusion is for you, Bruce. You get 2 experience points. There you go. You can award one of those to someone else in just a minute, but let me tell you what happens. Right as you approach the edge of this sort of strange circular henge-like structure, Sunal, you trip over something. Perhaps it must be like a rock or a vine. You're not really sure. You land just head first, face first, onto this stone platform. Which hurts. It doesn't actually cause damage, right? But it's more of a oof moment. However, the rest of you see that what happened was he definitely tripped over some kind of vine, and it looks like there was some kind of whitish violet seed pod or something like that was attached to the vine, which as Sunal crashes face first onto the platform, so does this pod, and it breaks open, and all these tiny little violet floating bits just come floating up, and they are nestling sort of all over his clothing and in the air around him. And Sunal, I'm first thing I'm going to need is a might defense roll from you.
All right. That will be 7.
Okay. You smell something really pungent, like something rotten, and you're feeling something kind of burning in your nose and your throat, and you take a point of damage, and it feels bad, and might be getting worse.
Don't breathe this stuff in, I say.
Sunal?
I'm going to give this XP to my sister because I want her to keep coming out in adventure. So, there you go.
I feel bribed here. I'm gonna reach for him and try to get him out of this because I'm gonna can I reach for his foot?
Sure.
I'm gonna reach for his foot and try to pull him out of this horrible thing.
Okay.
I knew we shouldn't have come.
Sunal, are you resisting at all, or are you?
I'm gonna try and use the help to my advantage. If she's trying to grab my foot, I'll actually try and give her my arm and.
Your arm is covered in that stuff.
Oh, is it?
No, I don't
Doesn't
know.
seem to want your arm.
All right. I will try and I will try and get out myself without having to be dragged by the feet.
No, I'll help.
Because I feel like that'll make me more.
Okay, so when you say out, do you mean off of the platform, or what do you mean exactly?
Out of this cloud of floating purple particulates, or have they all settled now?
They settled pretty quickly.
Okay, you know what I would like to do is try and if they're still on my clothing and stuff like that.
They are.
I will try and strip out my outer garments and kind of wash my skin with water from the explorer's pack.
Okay. While he's doing that, does anyone else want to take an action?
I will use my a big fancy heavy cloak and just kind of use it to brush some of these things off me.
Okay.
I'm going to be just trying to take watch. I think Syl tried to help, and then everything just got a little too big for her and too real, and so she kind of took a bunch of steps back, and she's gonna take a kind of furtive look around this whole platform and this whole area, and trust the experts to do it. So she's on the lookout for whether the hunter's around or anything else.
Okay. So, with the help that you're getting from your friends, Sunal, I want you to make another might defense roll, but this task is going to be eased because you're getting help. And at the same time, I'd like Syl to make a perception roll.
Ooh.
Jesus Christ. Grail. 5.
Okay.
You know, my other dice.
I rolled a 4.
I should have grabbed the better dice. So.
All right. Well, unfortunately, you're going to... you successfully think you wash off a lot of your clothing and your skin, particularly since everyone's helping you, but not before you take another 2 points of damage from the burning sensation in your throat. But then you clear it out, and you're still feeling uncomfortable, but you don't think it's going to get any worse.
Okay. Well, I thank everyone for helping me.
And what did Syl get for her perception?
She rolled a 4. I rolled a 4. I shouldn't blame her. But her flex skill today is perception, so a little better.
Okay. As far as you know, no sign of the hunter or anything other than that. But you did notice one thing, and that's when Sunal face planted onto the edge of the platform, there was a small, maybe 6-inch circle in the very middle of it, which started to kind of separate and rise, but then as soon as he got off of it again, it went down again.
Ooh. Yeah, her eyes go even wider, but she's gonna wait till he's safely out of the platform before she lets them know. So you're hacking up a storm over there, Sunal, but maybe I'll go pull on the jacket of Yeren over there, or the cape. I think something was starting to happen when Sunal stepped on the platform. Should we step on it? Should we avoid it? Do you think it's dangerous?
It's worth a shot. I mean, it's better than tripping on a sea pod. Sunal, are you okay? Can we proceed?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
I want to make sure, though, that there's
put
no
my
more
stuff
of these
back on.
roots. Before we take a step, wait. I want to look and make sure that we don't see any more of these roots.
You do,
Okay.
but you see them, so you can avoid them.
Okay, so we'll sort of point those out and go careful.
Okay.
Syl was asking Yeren, so he's feeling kind of emboldened and taking a leadership role. So I'll step forward, firmly put one foot onto the platform, and put some weight on it.
Okay. Having been forewarned that this might happen, you notice just as you put some solid weight on the platform, that small circular section rises up, and it looks like underneath it is some kind of column. But then it seems to maybe raise up about 2 inches or so.
I'll step fully onto it with both feet.
Okay. It continues to rise until it rises all the way up to what you would guess to be about 3 feet or so. And the sides, it's like just a solid 6-inch diameter column. But the sides of it, those of you, you've seen enough of this kind of thing to recognize it's some kind of Numenera controls. They're, like always, they're kind of mysterious, and you don't know exactly what they do or how to activate them just immediately, but it looks like something is going on here, and there's something active. This isn't a piece of dead machinery.
We should take a look at it, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone trained in understanding the Numenera?
I step right up. Your sister's got this.
Just trying to give you an option
To not.
to love what you do as much as I do.
I am trained in understanding Numenera. And,
Okay.
I'm going to apply a level of effort as well. This seems
Cool.
kind of like a thing we should know how to do, or what it does, or something.
Is anyone else skilled
I'm
in
sorry.
understanding? I'm sorry.
Salvaging.
Okay.
I rolled a 13.
And you used a level of effort, and you're trained.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You think that this is a very powerful, in game terms, very high level discovery. This is basically something that can send a creature outside of time,
Oh goodness.
or maybe back in time, or maybe forward in time. You're not really sure, but something, you can target a creature and send them away, and wherever that away is, it is temporal in nature. And you think that it's something that you can maybe try to target.
I will relay this to everyone and try to downplay the fact that this could be used for the hunter.
Downplay?
It's because I do not think we want this thing coming at us for any reason whatsoever.
Who volunteers to go have it chase it over here?
I'm not fast. My clothing is far too fancy for running.
Let's see.
These high-heeled boots.
Perhaps what you're suggesting is that you are inappropriately dressed for exploring the valley.
Yaron, I told you not to wear those boots.
It's all about style, okay?
Suffer for fashion.
Just be glad Haro wasn't in that machine with us. He would have puked all
Oh.
over your fancy clothes.
I deliberately did not
Alright.
invite them for that reason.
Well, I'm okay at navigation at the very least. Obviously, I've just shown that I'm easily distracted when I see something shiny and I don't pay attention, but I promise that if I go after this creature, I'll pay more attention and maybe get its attention and have it run after me and come this direction. What does everyone think of this plan?
You
Gayla?
already know what I think of this plan.
I mean, I don't think we should try to draw its attention,
No.
more than we are now, but if we do draw its attention, then running to here, I think, is a good solution.
Am I convinced that I actually know how to operate this thing? I mean, I know what it does, but
You think so?
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to be an automatic success, but you think you know how to try.
okay.
Can we test it out, or will that be its one use for the next century or something like that, Gayla?
That is a question. Do I know the answer to that?
You do not know the answer to that.
I could tap into my data sphere siphon and find out, or try to find out.
Ooh.
I think that'd be useful. We have a lot of things to do on this trip, so do you think that that's a thing is this really worth it?
Of course it's worth it. Look how cool it is.
If you think you know how to use it, then let's just trust that we can use it at least one time. I guess
We don't have to. Okay,
use it twice. Yeah.
okay. I'll save that for something else.
Hmm.
I'm assuming that we might find some more ciphers here, but I just don't know.
As the leader of this expedition, I agree. We should leave it as is.
Well-
Return to it if we need it.
So Yaron, where shall we go next?
Well, we were heading downhill deeper into the valley. Continue going in this direction. Since Gayla's keen on I spotted this, I hope she'll spot more.
Sean, you suddenly got kind of quiet.
Yeah.
I can speak up more.
That's much better.
It's back.
I think that I looked up and I saw everyone adjusting their.
Leaning in.
As though leaning in actually helps when I have headphones on.
So where you are right now, you're in like the middle of sort of a relatively natural looking bowl-like depression. So everywhere is up from here, but generally the valley continues to descend in a kind of a southwesterly direction.
Are we looking for any sort of iotum in particular, or just for a new cache of valuables?
You're mostly just looking for whatever you can find. At this point, you know, the rights back in Ellomyr they have so many big ideas and plans and whatnot that almost anything that you could find would be of value. And then, of course, you know, ciphers or artifacts would be a bonus.
So other than this platform thing, we're in a wooded area, right?
Very heavily wooded, yes.
So how about I use my hover ability to kind of rise up to the top of the tree line and see if I can get, you know, a bird's eye view of anything that's up ahead that we could aim for.
Is that going to make the hunter see you?
I don't know. I don't know where it is right now, but I could sneakily kind of look around. Actually, you know, if I did that on the downhill side of it, assuming that the hunter is uphill between us and our Gambado, keeping the tree between myself and where we think the hunter is should shield me from its perception.
So you want to hover up, but not very far.
Yes, I want to get to the top of the tree.
Not the hunter.
The valley is full of strange beasts and noises.
That's the other strange beast.
Aaron is scared right now. He hears this thing.
Maybe you should just float up. That same thing sounded horrible.
Are you going to, though?
I mean, if everybody seems to think it's such a bad idea, then let's just keep walking.
If you're going to do that, I do want to make sure that we're standing on this device, though, so that we can operate it should the hunter come close. And I'm gonna try to position myself in the way that I think is the best to use this thing should I need to.
Okay.
I think me hovering is a great idea. So unless someone is, you know, crying and screaming that it's stupid, I will proceed.
Okay. So Yaren kind of concentrates for a moment and focuses on his power that he exerts over gravity and begins to float up into the air, his feet leaving the ground, not too high, not like way up into but just over the tree line, kind of as you look over again into the center of the valley. And why don't you make a roll for your perception as you look around?
All right. I rolled a 6.
Okay. And do you have training or effort involved in that at all?
No.
Okay. Then, other than what I've already described, the huge tower and the blue mist that are still probably at least, you know, 1.5 miles away, maybe 2 miles away, there you don't see anything out of the ordinary, just trees, birds, insects.
Well, I'll come back down and tell the rest of my group that and suggest that we just keep working our way on foot deeper into the valley until we find something interesting.
Right before we do that, though, I would like to look around this platform using my perception and salvage Numenera if it's applicable, and just to see if there's any other connected. It just seems odd that there's this single platform out in the middle. Maybe we're standing on top of this much larger facility that we just need to dig up a little bit. So with that in mind, I want to just spend a little time digging around the platform and looking.
Okay.
Maybe I'm even doing that as the Arcus is doing an aerial survey.
Go ahead and make a roll for that. And you, I say your salvaging skill will apply.
Okay. I have perception as well, if that applies. That's 2 assets.
Sure.
And I will also apply a level of effort to.
Okay. So you're lowering the difficulty by 3 steps.
So that'll be a 12. I'll roll 12.
Roll 12. Great. You definitely get the feeling that this thing is connected to possibly other locations somewhere here in the woods, you're seeing indications on the side of the platform that there are connections, but they're long buried by the earth and the trees and everything. So there's no direct connections, and you don't necessarily think that you're at the top of some buried larger structure. In fact, it definitely gives the feeling just the opposite, that you're kind of in this low place. But there's an idea that this is a part of a network.
Okay.
And you can kind of get an idea of where some of the things that it might be connected to. One is due north, one is kind of southwest.
Let's go the one that is in the direction away most from the hunter, where we currently think the hunter is. So whether that's north or southwest.
It would be probably more like the southwest connection.
That's what I will suggest to the group.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
Proceeding further then into the woods, leaving the platform. As soon as you all get off the platform, the center pillar sinks back down into the middle of it, just leaving the platform and the big glass hinge pieces. You traipse through the woods, and you don't have to go very far before you see up ahead what looks like almost like a pedestal kind of rising up out of the grass and the overgrowth. It's all covered in dirt, but it's clearly got a perfectly round top. There's some kind of protrusions off of it. It's maybe 18 to 20 inches across. But so it seems like some kind of device, but it's covered in dirt and it's overgrown with plants.
I suggest we approach it very carefully, looking for vines that may trip us.
Okay.
Seems like a fair.
But I will help. So I have perception, but I can also help someone perception who's Syl. I know is.
Yeah.
So I will help her. Say, hey, why don't you take a look at this?
Yeah.
With both of you working together, you don't even need to make a roll. You can see that there doesn't seem to be any immediate dangers like that around here. Different kind of mysterious plants, but nothing that you recognize to know to be a danger.
Does this pedestal look at all like the kind of Numenera that we had before? Does it look of similar synth or materials?
Maybe it might, like the very top of it and some of the protrusions might seem kind of like what that center column was like, but only very vaguely, only in very general terms.
I think Syl
I
is
wait for Syl to step on it.
Oh yeah, Syl is ready. She's got this. She now knows how Numenera works. You step on things and they react. But so she takes a couple hesitant steps, but takes out a dagger and is going to try to pry some of the plant matter back off of this thing so we can get a better look at it.
Okay. You can do that pretty easily. Clean off parts of it. As you do that and you get closer, you can see that there are pieces laying around it, kind of half buried in the dirt. You're definitely getting the idea that this was at one point maybe a larger thing that has long since fallen apart and is still just barely visible with the current conditions and the erosion and whatnot. But it seems to be pretty dead.
I think Sunal and I have this process where I look at a thing and figure out what it did or what it might have done, and then he takes it apart. So I'll start that process, and I will take a look at it and see, like, if I can figure out what it did, and if it's repairable, or if we should just scavenge it, or kind of what we can.
I can tell you right now, it's not repairable. It is clearly. I mean, it is a collapsed something.
Okay. Then I want to just take a look at it and see what information I can glean from it, and then pass it over to Sunal to do his thing.
Okay.
So I am trained in understanding Manera,
and
I roll a 15.
Okay. You definitely you are convinced that Syl is right, that this is connected to the other thing that you found, which in comparison was in pristine shape compared to this. That's about all you're able to glean because it's just so wrecked. There might be salvageable something in here, but you don't think that you can make this do anything anymore. It's a pile of scrap, basically.
I will relay that to everybody.
Well, I will. Scrap sometimes yields up some interesting stuff. If not, maybe even only shins. But so I will attempt a salvage task and apply a little effort to that task. And I'm trained in salvaging the Numenera.
Okay. That's going to take some time. What's everyone else going to do during that time?
I'm supervising.
Okay.
Complimenting them on their work. Oh, very good job. Yes, I can see why you are very experienced at this.
Does that actually help, Sunal, or does it just make you feel better?
I started to tune him out a little.
I think Syl is testing her ability to phase through things. So she's taken a really inert chunk of kind of rubble, and she's just holding it in her hand, and then she's letting it slowly phase through her hand, and then she'll catch it again, and it'll pop back out. And so she's just practicing off to the side.
If everyone's doing that, then I'm going to keep an eye out for that hunter because I don't like it.
Okay.
That's good. Keep an eye out for the creature.
All right. So, Bruce, let's have a roll for Sunal in his attempt to do some salvage.
All right. So hopefully this will be eased by 2 steps because I'll apply a level of effort.
Mm-hmm.
I roll 3.
Okay. So no salvageable iotum that you can bring back for crafting or whatnot, unfortunately.
Any shins?
You do find 3 pieces of something that you think you can probably call shins once you get back to Ellomyr, right? Just sort of a button and a shiny thing. However, even with your 3, because you lowered it by 2 steps, you do find a strange looking sphere that you free from a housing that is within this thing, and you think that this could be maybe of use, maybe as a cipher or something. It's not an iotum.
I will walk up to Gayla as she's watching for the hunter, and I will get her attention and ask her to take a look.
Nice find. I will take this, and I will use my understanding of Manera to see if I can figure out what it does.
Okay.
And I will roll a 14.
Okay. Yeah, this thing is weird. It basically, you think that it could be pretty easily activated, and if it is activated, the sphere splits in half, and one half of the sphere will extend out up to, you're guessing, probably about 500 feet away in a straight line. And as it does, you think it will stretch out a long, thin, kind of almost spider web-like membrane, and it will attach itself to whatever it touches on the other side, and then you can attach this side to something as well, creating a 500-foot long, you think pretty strong, sturdy strand of goo.
Is it a cipher or an artifact?
It's a cipher.
A cipher.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys, I wish I could show you what this does, but it's only going to do it once, so then I describe it.
You think it is a level 3 cipher.
I was going to say maybe we could attach one end to the hunter and then attach the other end to a post and call it good, but if it's only level 3, it might break it.
Can we keep it? A tethered hunter sounds great. We can train it.
Bring it home.
Put the gambino on its back. Here, have to carry a device. Okay. Does anyone want this other than Sunal, who's going to use it to try to trap a creature that's way too big for it?
Even as Galen asked that question, perhaps because she was been looking at the cipher and not keeping watch.
I'm sorry about that.
This is a GM intrusion for Galen, or Gala. Sorry, keep saying Galen. Gala. There is a terrifying by implication event in that suddenly birds start flying off in all directions, and a couple of weird little creatures scurry by your feet as you stand there, and you see some things jumping from branch to branch, all away from one specific location.
Oh no! I'm gonna
What
give
do you
this.
do?
I'm gonna give my thing to Syl for practicing her abilities.
Thank
'cause
you.
We're gonna need them. All right. Which direction is it coming from?
Surprisingly, it is not coming from the direction that you thought the hunter was in, but more around from the south.
There are two of them.
Oh no. Let's try and run very quietly back towards the time displacement portal, I say. Yes, faster than that. More fear in my voice.
Let's go. Let's go. I don't know how to run
Kind of
quietly.
move that way. I don't.
So what's
I don't know
more
if anyone else follows me?
What's more important to you, speed or stealth? As you run, are you trying harder to be quiet or getting out of there?
Stealth, I think, since we have a little bit of it.
And we're all trained in it right now.
Okay. Then I would like you all to make rolls for that stealth action.
I'm
Still,
applying effort.
Okay.
me too.
Okay. If you're doing that, you're going to be easing the task by 2 steps. Shauna, what did you get?
13 and also trained.
Okay.
I'm going to use my 1 XP point to reroll the 1 I just rolled. My gosh. All right.
And I rolled
12.
Okay.
and I rolled a 13.
Okay. So you guys are all creeping back in the direction that you had originally come from, and at one point, you're about halfway there. You hear something just kind of tearing through branches, and there's kind of a thumping on the ground behind you. But you're all being quite stealthy and quiet, and so you hunker down just for a moment, and then that noise recedes a little bit, and you're able to continue back to the hinge, the device that you had originally found, and you make it back there. But you can still hear that what you assume to be the hunter. You haven't actually seen it yet this particular time, but you can hear that it is still very close, much closer than it was when you were here the last time.
Oof. Once we reach a stopping point and are quietly hunkered down again, Syl furtively takes out a vial from her sort of vest, and she's quietly applying some strange viscous liquid to both of her daggers, and so she looks kind of ready for war.
Okay.
Nice. I'm gonna have to operate this device, aren't I? Okay. What else can we do to make sure that we're ready? Because I'm gonna run screaming from this dais. Okay. I got this. Okay, I got this.
Gayla, does this device, do you think it needs a line of sight to whatever it's affecting? Because I have a one-use device that'll create a force field wall. I could put it between this control thing that you found and whatever direction the hunter is in, so you could hide behind that. But I don't know if the device can penetrate that to reach the hunter.
Do I need to study it a little more?
Kayla, you think that that proximity and that's the most important thing. So you think that you could possibly have this affect something on the other side of a force field?
Yes, please, force field. That sounds fantastic.
Okay, we can tell the direction that this is coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so can we like line up everybody behind this little Numenera pillar, and then I will use my cipher to project this force field on the other side of that, so it's a barrier between us.
Okay, and how big is the force field?
It is 20 feet by 20 feet.
Nice. Okay. So once you get into position and make that force field, it just kind of cuts its way through branches and whatnot. So you can tell where it is because it's transparent, right? Or is it visible?
It's not opaque. So yes, it's transparent.
Okay, so it's you can't really see the field itself, but you can see the places where it's bending branches or it's broken branches, so you can kind of sense its presence. And it does sound now like the creature is getting louder again. And you see some more birds flying up from the treetops.
I'm so glad we came. Okay. I'm going to be at this device and do my best to figure out exactly what I need to do when to hit it at the right moment and make this thing go to some other time and space.
Okay, if you, the rest of you, if for example you had one round to do anything, what would that thing be?
I'm going to modify my weapon, which is a hammer, with a density nodule, which is a cipher that will make it a little bit more dense as I swing it.
Okay, awesome. It hums, your cipher hums as it does that, and you can kind of feel the weight and mass of your hammer change.
Yeah, I swing it around as it whistles through the air. Nice, I like it.
That is a reassuring noise.
Anyone else want to take a preparatory action?
I think Syl is gonna she's gonna vanish. So she starts looking really freaked out, and she starts kind of, she's holding something and she's kind of phasing through it unintentionally, and you see she just sort of fades into the background and looks surprised but pleased as she's doing it. So
Nice.
That way you know that it's not something bad that's happening to Syl. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so Syl fades away, and anything else?
Yaren's gonna take out his dart thrower, which is just a little kind of spring-loaded, almost like a miniature crossbow, and I'll use hover to hover up to about the height of the top of the force field, and then just kind of like yell, "Hey, hey!" Just trying to draw attention to where we are, so the thing hopefully kind of comes straight at us instead of from the side around the force field.
That works like a charm.
Jesus.
As you see this creature, Darcy, can you call up the
Absolutely.
picture again really quickly?
Yep.
Tears through the branches with its huge sort of metal-like front feet that it kind of acts like cleavers as it or the way like an explorer might use a machete to cut its way through the undergrowth. It smashes its way through all the tree branches, and the last few remaining birds flutter away as this thing opens its huge sort of triangular mouth wide open, but again makes almost no sound, and it's looking up at Yaren, and impacts onto the force field, and is just kind of bounces off of it momentarily, but it's still staring up, mouth agape at Yaren. Gayla, would you like to take an action?
Callous eyes, yes I would. I want to make this thing work.
Okay.
All right. Let's see, do I have, I think that other than understanding Numenera, I think that's the only skill that I have that works, but I'm going to use apply a level of her too.
Okay, so you'll be easing the task by 2 steps.
14?
Okay. You furiously start activating Numenera controls, and you touch this panel which kind of glows with life, and their weird mystical symbols appear on it, and you're kind of kind of guessing, but it's an educated guess as to which one of those things you should move and slide. And at that point, all of those glass, huge plinths that surround you, they all glow with kind of this orange light from within. And suddenly, the creature is gone. It is just utterly gone, and so is the force field. And you can tell that because the trees and branches and whatnot aren't being bent anymore. It's just the whole thing is just gone over there. And Yaren, you're still floating up 20 feet in by the tree branches. Everyone else is still where they were before, but the creature is not. It's just in a blink of an eye.
So Yaren kind of puffs out his chest and says, "Well done, everybody."
Good job, Gala. I knew you'd save us again.
I am supposed to build things, not make Heidi feel. Whew. Okay. Let's not do that again.
Syl comes back into visibility and sort of feeling her arms and extremities, making sure she's really there, and the hunter is gone. Everything looks okay, though.
So what was that?
I think I can phase even more than I thought I could. Numenera?
That would be a very useful skill on delving into the ruins, I say.
She looks at you. Oh, yeah.
Certainly would.
And very useful at keeping yourself safe while doing that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or others safe, perhaps.
Good
Also,
point.
I wonder if you can use that for someone else.
I wonder if Ellomyr would like a installation that could send enemies out of time.
Ooh,
I wonder if there's a way to figure out how to make this.
it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Replicate.
It is definitely one of the most powerful and complex devices that Gala has ever
Wow.
seen.
I am
Good idea,
intrigued
no.
by this. I wonder if I could find the plans or find a way to create this. It could really, really be useful outside of Ellomyr, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Until someone got in a fight and decided to send their enemy off on it, but we'll worry about that later. Is there something that I can do as a right to sort of, start putting a plan together to make this?
You could spend some time studying it further. You can just tell me how long you want to spend here.
You guys want to, does anybody need to rest for any other reason? I don't want to hold this up. No. Okay, so maybe we'll come back.
Okay.
I mean, now that we don't have a time pressure,
Well,
certainly.
there's theoretically the other hunter is out there.
Right. It's true.
Oh, wait. There's two hunters?
I don't know. They came from a totally different direction.
Oh, man.
Maybe it can teleport.
All right.
Well, that would be better. Well, unless it can teleport through time, in which case that's not awesome. But
I don't think that's a real thing.
anything is possible out here.
All right, well, there's
Says
another
the floating
hunter.
guy.
So
You
you're
know,
guessing it's probably about you maybe got 4 or 5 hours before it gets dark.
Yeah, let's keep moving. We'll come back. We know how to find this place now.
I'll float
Okay.
back down.
Okay.
I think
We
Syl.
know you like it up there.
Yeah, Syl
Yes.
always looks relieved when you stop using your hovering powers. There's still always the chance that
Hey, I know.
it's going to be her up there.
You could go much higher now because you don't have to worry about the creature. And if a wind comes up, we'll attach this string thing to you so you
Ooh.
can reel you back in.
The goopy strong
Yeah.
string thing.
Like,
I mean, as an option. Maybe not.
well, if you want me to peek around while I'm still up here, sure, I can climb higher.
Yeah, go higher.
All right.
Okay. How high would you like to go?
Well, what is the tree line? How high is that?
It's probably no more than 20, 25 feet.
Then I'll go about 30 feet and see if I can see anything, and if not, then I'll go higher.
Okay.
I can go up to 50 feet in just a few seconds.
Okay. So floating up and higher than you did before, and sort of without the stress that you felt before, you can see that there is something in the distance, maybe toward the north, maybe slightly northeast. It kind of looks like the pedestal thing that you were investigating before, but it looks larger and more intact. It's there's definitely some kind of glowing or very shiny, reflective something around it that definitely was not around the one before.
All right. I will kind of make note of that direction compared to trees and such on the ground.
Okay.
And then lower myself back down again.
Okay.
And tell everybody that there seems to be another thing sort of like this, but glowing that way.
Perhaps a better source of iotum, do we think? I looked at
Seems
Sunal.
like
I'm trying to figure out how all this works.
Sounds promising to me.
Good.
All right.
Did you see any other living predatory type things out there?
Did I? No, I did not.
Okay. Leaving the platform, the pedestal in the middle sinks back down again, just like it did before, and heading off in the direction that Yaren has indicated, and following, particularly because Sunal has a really good sense of direction, right? You've got navigation skill, I think.
I do.
Okay. The two of you working together, it doesn't take too long before you cross the fair distance through the woods and make it to this site. And there's a small clearing around where Yaren saw this, but there's something that Yaren didn't see or wasn't here before. Darcy, do you want to show the picture?
Ooh, boy, do I.
So, what you see is what looks like a much more complete pedestal. It has almost leaf-like synth pieces that extend up out of it, and they all sort of surround this glowing sphere. But perhaps more immediately important, you see that there are two figures, two people. They seem to be examining this thing. One of them is dressed all in red and seems to have some kind of mech arm. The other is either wearing an elaborate suit of blue metal or synth, or is in fact an automaton itself. You're not really sure. But as soon as you see them, they seem to also see you. And the figure all in red, kind of got a tall red hat, that person, his eyes get really wide, and they immediately flee away into the underbrush. They were clearly checking this thing out, but they just scatter as soon as you come in, or as soon as you come within sight.
Ooh.
What would you guys like to do?
Yay to see. Hello, we mean no harm.
I would actually like to use my demeanor of command ability, which makes people recognize that I am an authoritarian sort of role here, and I would speak to them, and anybody who's not already attacking me will at least let me have my say for about a round, so I'm hoping that'll kind of keep them in the area and listening to what we have to say. And I'll say, please, we mean you no harm. We are visitors from Ellomyr, just looking for valuable Numenera here. Perhaps we could work together. I am Yaren, and these are my friends.
Just as they are like half in the underbrush and about to just sort of slip into it, they stop. And you get even a better look at them. And you can see that the one that you weren't sure about before, whether it was a human or a creature entirely of a mechanical nature, it absolutely must be an automaton, because rather than a face, it just has a big glowing eye or a big glowing something as a face. But it has a number of it has equipment. Like it's dressed like an explorer, like you, like some of you are. You're dressed like fop.
Fancy.
But they stop and they're listening. They're listening to you. But Gayla, you also you're trained in persuasion and interactions. So with Yaren's commanding presence, that's definitely going to get easier task, and also accomplished exactly what Yaren wanted, which was got them to stop and pay attention rather than just flee. So Gayla, I'll just have a roll from you.
Okay. I also, let's see. Okay, I have lots of people skills, but I'm good. Not in that way. 15.
I thought you were. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I am. I just, I thought I also had an actual ability, but they're mostly about helping my friends, so I just wanted to check.
Okay, but you are trained in persuasion too, right?
I am not trained in persuasion, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm gregarious, which I think has different abilities.
Okay, but you rolled a 15.
And Yaren's helping me, right?
And Yaren's helping you. Okay. So neither one of these figures says anything. They seem to be just kind of sizing all of you up, but they have not continued to flee.
I actually have a little bit of skill in opening communications with strangers.
Okay.
So I will step up to Yaren and Gayla, with my hands out, and kind of, maybe I have some shins or I owe something, like I kind of give gifts to people, that I first met, and I say, well met, strangers, we would, like to be friends, and, kind of along the lines of what Yaren and Gayla have been saying. And plus the little gift of the shins that I just found.
Okay. Oh, cool. So they're not close enough to reach out and take it, but they see your offer. The one that looks to be a living human says, holds up their a three-fingered mech hand and says, "We mean you no harm. We are merely looking for Numenera."
As are we.
As are we. Perhaps we could combine our skills and knowledge.
Are they carrying anything? Do they have anything in their hands? Weapons or other devices?
No. Neither one of them currently has a weapon out. Okay. They have packs and they have lots of stuff. Looks like it's quite possible that their expedition has been fairly successful. But they're not currently armed in a way that you can understand.
Okay.
And the figure who spoke before says, "My name is Farragon, and this is my companion Neem." And the automaton just suddenly says, "I am Neem." And Farragon just kind of makes a gesture like this and he repeats himself, but at a volume level at about half. I mean,
I introduce everybody and say we activated a device nearby that got rid of one of the large predator creatures. We don't know what it's called. We don't know if there's another one, but just keep an eye out for that. Is there
you got rid of the predator?
Yes.
That is impressive. This is Farragon speaking.
Our Gayla here really knows her stuff.
I got very, very lucky.
I do not sense the predator. I can confirm.
Well, that's great. We don't
So
think
are we
there's
helping
two.
each other?
And Farragon says, "And how did you do this?"
She did a Numenera thing back there at another location.
I just listened with the look of someone who is smart about a thing, watching someone else who's not smart about a thing explain a thing.
and it was gone.
That is exactly what happened. Yes.
Farragon says that is very good news. My people call this the Valley of Death, for it is filled with many dangers. But that is certainly one of the greatest.
Where are you
people
from?
have a similar name for it because of its dangers.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about the blue mist?
Oh, avoid the blue mist.
Why so?
It reacts poorly to organic matter, Farragon says. I have no worries in the mist, but refuse to go alone.
I think that's very smart of you. No one should go anywhere dangerous alone.
Right.
Don't split the party.
So, Farragon and Neem, perhaps there is something that you wanted to investigate, but you felt it too risky for just the two of you. If the six of us went, that would be much safer. Would you be interested in doing that? And my demeanor command ability actually gives me, makes me trained in one persuasion task in this immediate time period.
Okay, well then go ahead and make a roll for that task.
Okay. And I am also just trained in persuasion.
Okay.
And I rolled a 9.
Okay. Farragon kind of strokes his chin and he says, well, we were actually, after we examined this structure, this pedestal, we were going to begin our journey home. And he seems a little unsure, but then Neem just says, there is safety in numbers.
Where is
Farragon
home?
kind of nods.
Where is home?
He says, I come from a town called Othmar.
We have heard of Othmar. We are from Ellomyr.
Yes. There was some trouble there not long ago with the Iron Wind.
Yes, but we were
Very,
lucky.
very lucky.
That is
Weird.
good news.
Weird beings of energy gave us the means we needed to disperse it. It was quite amazing.
That sounds like quite a tale.
Which direction is Othmar from here?
He says it is almost due northeast.
Is there any sites that you would like to explore in that direction that we could team up to look at so that we are all exploring and you are also getting closer to going home?
You are. I don't know that there are any spots to explore in that direction.
Let's check
But I
out
guess that's why they call it exploring.
We could check out this strange pedestal you were just now looking at, if you don't mind our help.
Yes, he says. I have not been able to figure out what it is, but it is clearly still powered. We have found others like it, but they were ruined and unpowered.
Can I take a minute to just kind of relate some of the stories that the nanos and the rights and the delves who have come to Ellomyr kind of collectively into a story and use my anecdote ability to give everybody training in understanding Numenera?
Sounds like a good use of that ability.
Okay, that's what I do.
Wow.
Okay.
That's lovely.
I look at
We
Galen
brought
and
you
say,
for a reason.
I sometimes know what I'm talking about.
All right.
Does,
And then I take it all of you are going to search and scavenge and whatnot over this thing.
Yeah, I'd explicitly like to use my ability to phase through objects, especially after hearing the anecdote. I think that sparks an idea in Syl's head to, if there's a shield in one part, but if I phase right through it, I can maybe get at, I can access a panel that was otherwise inaccessible to us. So I'm
That sounds really cool. That's definitely going to help.
cool.
Okay, so do you just all want to work together on this, or does someone want to do something else while the group is sort of salvaging?
Well, is there any chance that we can actually figure out, like, is this working? Can it be working before we start breaking it apart and salvaging it? Or do we not get that sense?
It's got power, right? The sphere, there's a sphere inside of it that's glowing, and there are conduits that kind of connect to the pedestal that you can see, but you have no idea what it actually does.
Well, let me just take 1 second before we start breaking it apart, and especially now that I'm specialized in the Numenera, thanks to Yaren, and just see if we can figure out kind of what we're looking at before we destroy it. Does that seem
Agreed?
Okay.
That's our normal pattern.
Okay.
All right, and I rolled a 20.
Wow.
Wow.
Yay!
Okay. Well, if you spent any points, you of course get them back with a 20.
I did not.
Do you want to get any particular major effect, or do you want to just get more info?
I think more info seems the most useful at this point. Let's see what this baby does.
You take one look at the configuration of the controls, and you know exactly what this does, Gayla. It restores something that has been knocked out of time.
Oh, God.
I'm not going to tell anyone. No, I'm just kidding.
Does it restore it if it's turned off, or do you actually have to do something?
Gayla, you think that the ancients must have been with a far greater command over this stuff than you fully understand, must have been going back and forth or something to in time, or you're not exactly sure.
We just sent this horrible creature.
There seems to be, in a way, you found the outdoor, and you just found the indoor.
I feel horrible that we potentially sent this giant hunter creature into this place of beings. I mean, they might all be dead, but if they weren't...
You're not exactly sure how it works, but you're pretty sure that it's it has far less to do with a place and much more to do with time.
Okay, so maybe there are no other beings at that time.
Don't worry, Gayla. I'm sure you're not personally responsible for one of the prior worlds coming to an end.
Sunal, you knew.
You're lucky she loves you.
Focus back on my machines.
So the question that I have is, do you want to scavenge this thing for iotum and parts?
We certainly don't want to bring the hunter back from time. Do we...
You think that if you scavenged parts and whatnot, you would guarantee that would not happen, as you understand it?
I'm all for that.
Yeah. Burn it down.
Okay. Yeah, all right. Well, I'm up for that. Whatever. If that seems the right choice, I'm up for it.
What do
Farragon and Neem both concur.
Okay.
We believe there to be valuable iotum inside.
So
do you know iotum?
We've heard of it.
Excellent.
I'm hoping to find some tamed iron myself.
Ooh.
I pull out my list.
Or this stuff.
My rights list.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sunal, are you going to attempt this? If so,
Yeah, I will attempt, or I will help one of these guys, whichever. I will try and work with them and get a common basis of understanding, and then get.
They will eagerly help you.
And I'm going to use a people person. When you're in immediate range of at least 2 allies, I ease your task.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
And Sil, are you going to use your phasing strategy that you were talking about?
Yeah, I would like to use that to help pull parts apart that, unlock them from the inside, basically, if possible.
Okay. With so many intelligent, learned people working on this and so many interesting strategies and ways to improve, you don't even have to make a roll. And it is the Numenera treasure trove that you were hoping that it would be. There is iotum in the form of lots of synth, because there's lots of synth components. There's a special kind of synth called adaptive synth, which is easily shaped and molded. But there's also a few cylinders that contain what Sunal knows to be mimetic gel, which is really valuable and interesting iotum. But you also uncover a small little treasure trove of ciphers as well. And again, with all of you working at this and so many learned minds, you pretty much learn right away what they are, right, without making any rolls. So within this, you find a device that, Gala, you can probably pretty easily kind of jury rig so that you could attach it. It's a cipher that you could attach to another cipher, and that cipher you could set a timer and make that that second cipher go off when you want it to. It could be activated when you want it to. And there's also perhaps the most unique thing in here. There is a cube that when activated will get larger, probably maybe like 20, 22 inches to a side, and it will float up into the air and probably actually also kind of move horizontally and vertically. So it's even more sort of advanced than your hover ability, and with a great deal of strength, right? You could sit on it. One person could stand on it. One person could hold. You think it could hold two people, not in a comfortable trip, but it could certainly carry them, and it will go for hours.
Well, would someone like to take these, as I already am carrying two ciphers,
and there's one more.
There's more. Sorry.
And the last one, it's a canister. It looks to be kind of fragile, but you're pretty sure that if it breaks open, the vapors that are inside of it would be highly poisonous. So it could be like a bomb if you wanted it to be.
Yeah, I'll take one.
So Neem and Farragon both say that they are carrying as many ciphers as they dare right now, but they are very interested in the iotum.
Sorry, Bruce, will you mute when you're not talking? Because we've got a lot of Tesla. It's super cute, but it's hard to hear.
Yep. I wasn't sure if that was Tesla or Amp.
Amp is sleeping. I tired her out.
Good work. I think Sil operates a shop back in Ellomyr that has to do with she sells various potions and things like that. So she has vials of different poisons that she's whipped up before for adventuring, or at least things that get really nasty and she think will probably work in the wild. So I think she's pretty interested in this canister full of vapors. That's she's really curious about that. So if no one else will take it, she's gonna grabby hands it.
Yeren has no claim to any of these. He is just very impressed that his team has done so well.
So there's still the floating cube and the timer. Does anyone want to at least grab and carry those?
I'll carry one of them.
Sunal, do you have room too?
How about Sunal, you take the floating cube, and I'll take the timer.
Okay. And meanwhile, Neem and Farragon are looking at the iotum, and they're admiring particularly the mimetic gel.
Split that.
And then everything changes.
Uh-oh.
You are all standing back on the circular platform.
No.
You see the force field is still in place, and the terrible hunter creature is just right on the other side of it.
Oh my gosh.
And you are all sort of Gala, you are standing by the pedestal itself. Yaren, you are floating 20 feet up in the air. And basically you're all in the same positions exactly as when Gala activated the pedestal. And Neem and Farragon are nowhere to be seen. However, you still have the ciphers that you just claimed.
We're in a time loop. Ish. Since we have these ciphers, I don't know what's going on.
So, the creature is clearly still kind of, at least for a few moments, flummoxed by the fact that there's a force field in the way. What do you do?
Panic?
Yeah.
Alright, well, I know how to use this machine now, I think.
And,
Right?
So
Right,
can you
that's
push your
right.
poison bomb through the force field?
is that a thing it will let through?
With your phasing ability.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So Syl, I think is still vanished, right? If we're going back to that time period, or
You are, yep.
Yeah. So she's.
Do we remember doing all this before? Like, do
What
I
do you
remember
mean?
operating this machine?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Everything that's happened has
Okay.
really happened. You have no.
Alright.
Apparently, you were just teleported back here somehow.
Okay.
Transported through space, but the creature's here again, and the force field is here again.
Yeah. It'll take a round, but Syl is gonna. She's already vanished, and she's going to slowly phase her hand with the canister through the force field, and it will take a round.
Okay.
But it sounds like it's really thin, so I think I'll be able to use it after.
Okay, so this round you are phasing your hand with the canister through. Sunal, what are you doing?
I'm going to toss a detonation cipher that I had, another one, because I can have 3 ciphers, over top of the force field.
Nice.
So up and over. Okay.
Hopefully past me.
Cloak.
That is going to require basically an attack roll to give
Speed,
it
I
sort of.
presume?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to apply effort.
Okay.
14.
Nice. All right. So targeting the creature wasn't hard because it's big, but getting it up and over and landing near the creature in a combination was tricky. But you definitely pulled it off. And what kind of detonation is it?
It's a heat drain,
wow.
level 6.
Whoa.
So you see all the plant life and even the air around this detonation just begins to kind of fill with frost crystals, and the creature makes the first noise that you've heard it make, but it's just kind of this weird, soft kind of noise as it opens up its mouth, and it's you can see the particularly the fleshy parts of it just kind of turn ashen gray. It seems like it really hurt it. What's the level of that cipher?
It's a level 6 cipher.
Okay, so that hurt it. It felt that. Would anyone else like to take an action who has not yet acted? That would be Gala or Yaren.
I defer to Gala.
Gala was assuming that we were going to send this thing back in time again and was getting ready to do that, and now I'm watching everything happen and realizing I've totally gotten the wrong idea for what the plan is. So even though there's a force field, I'm gonna and just get ready in case it comes through that.
Okay. You can definitely see that, the trees and whatnot nicely define this force screen. And remember, it's only 20 feet wide.
Right, so I could go around it, right?
Or it could.
I like the first one better. All right, well, I'm going to stay here because somebody has to be standing on this pedestal in case we change plans. But I'm going to have my buzzer ready.
Okay. And I should be really clear that while Sunal's cipher was quite a devastating attack, this creature's not anywhere near. I mean, you just sort of got its attention, right? You just sort of poked it.
Right, but Syl is now in the force field, and last time it took the force field away, so unless Syl's going to get out of the force field, I'm not going to send her back in time.
I'm quick, but not that quick.
Yaren, are you going to take an action?
I'm going to draw my dart thrower and shoot it.
Okay.
And I will apply a level of effort.
Okay.
My speed roll.
And that's already a light weapon, so you'll
Yes.
be easing this task by 2 steps.
2 steps. And I rolled a natural 20.
Wow.
Nice. Would you like extra damage or a special
Please.
effect?
Extra damage, please.
Okay. So how much damage is 4 extra damage, and you normally just do 2?
Just do 2, yeah.
Okay. Well, normally you probably expected, taking a look at this thing, that your dart thrower would just your dart would just kind of bounce off this thing probably harmlessly, but with a very careful aim and a good angle from up above, you shoot it, and it hits it in a weak spot, apparently, kind of right at the corner of its wide open mouth, and the dart sticks in, and you draw some blood. It does not look like a wildly significant wound, but it does draw blood from the creature.
And can I also yell and wave my arms and just try and draw attention to it? I want to keep it focused on me rather than giving it time to think, if I could go around this force field to where everybody else is.
Okay. Is that everyone's action then? All right. So what it does is it definitely pays attention to Yaren after shooting it in the mouth and waving your hands around or whatnot. So remember, it's at least 12 feet tall, just sort of standing there. It just lunges up, neck outstretched with its big, wide mouth open. And even though you're up 20 feet, it still has a decent chance of reaching up and getting you. You've got cover from the force field, which is going to ease your defense roll, but you're still going to need to make a speed defense roll.
And I'm also trained without armor, so I am trained in speed defense when not wearing armor. So
Great.
that'd be 2 steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll apply effort.
Okay. So what's your total that you're reducing this by?
Well, first I'm going to spend an XP to reroll this 1.
Okay.
And I rolled a 7, and that was 3 steps.
Okay. It manages to grab you by the arm with its mouth. It bites down. It inflicts 10 points of damage.
Whoa!
So that's, and you just said you weren't wearing any armor, so that's just 10 might that you lose, and just tears at it like animals do when they get pulled, ripping at you. In fact, I will give you 2 experience points, because as a GM intrusion, it has hold of your arm, pulls you up and over the top of the force field. So now you and it are on the other side of the force field, and it's still got you by the arm, and it's just rending with its teeth.
Okay.
So yes.
I give it to Syl because I think she's going to need it.
Yeah, to not hit you with this canister, buddy. Oh no, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, just as this happens, you have the poison gas canister on the other side of the force field that you have phased through. But, your friend is over there too.
Do I think there's enough directionality on the cipher that if I try really hard, I can just get the organic bits of this creature and not my friend, or do I think it's going to create kind of a cloud? I was playing with it. I'm imagining I was playing with it like a can of mace or something. When I had a second, but.
Well, this thing is big enough that you could get part of its body probably in the cloud without getting your friend. However, you know that it's almost certainly a poisonous gas that is going to be more harmful if this thing inhales it. But its mouth and Yaren are basically right now in the same spot. So there is no way to get it so that it will breathe it in, assuming that it breathes the way you understand it, probably breathes through its mouth.
Right. Goodness. Oh, that's really hard. Okay. All right. Oh gosh, this is so hard. I'm sorry. I probably yell over my shoulder.
Getting yanked around, I just yell, "Do it!
Do it!" Okay. I'm gonna do my best to spray it where I hope at least a bit of the poison will get in its mouth or near its mouth, but I think I'm going to direct most of it toward the body. I'm unwilling to hurt you, Yaren.
Okay.
So, but I'm going to spend effort.
Okay.
I'm trained in perception, but I'm not sure if that's going to help me here. I see a whole lot of beast, and I don't know that that's helping me at all. Goodness. All right, let's try this.
Okay.
So, do I make a roll to sort of aim it, or?
Yes. So this will be a speed-based, basically an attack roll.
Okay. All right. I roll a 10, and I spend effort, so it's eased.
Okay. So basically, you spray it out and basically expel all the material that's inside this canister. It does kind of create a cloud.
Yeah.
That seems somewhat persistent, but because you were particularly being careful to try to not get Yaren, you don't think that it's breathing it in.
Right.
It's still there, and its body is kind of in part of it. That doesn't seem to be having a huge effect at the moment because its head and Yaren are kind of off to one side of it.
Okay. I'm gonna be spend the rest of my action trying to phase my hand back out of this thing.
Okay. Gayla, what about you?
Well, I started screaming, "Still, get out! Get out!" and then realized, of course, that Yaren is also over there, so there's just no way I can use this device to send people back in time. So I am totally out of my element here. I'm not that great with my buzzer. I'm gonna... Do I sense that this creature has any parts that aren't biological? Like...
Yes.
Yes. Oh, awesome. Okay, so... I'm gonna have to go up to it. I'm gonna have to go around this Crail.
I'm looks like I'm gonna go around too. So if you want to
All
go
right,
around
let's
together,
go together.
I got my hammer, which has a nodule, a density nodule on it, so it'll do more damage.
Okay, because I have my buzzer, but mostly I'm gonna try to scramble it. If it has any machine bits, I'm gonna try to find a way to make them not work, and see if we can bring it down a little bit that way. All right, yeah. Let's go around together.
Okay.
Is that our whole action to get around the...
It probably would be, yes.
Okay.
To move all the way around and get into position on the other side. And so that just brings us to Yaren. He bleeds.
Oh.
Yaren's muted.
Can I try and break free of this thing's mouth and then... if that succeeds, use my hover to get higher up?
Yes. Do you want to try to be dexterous and agile and wiggle its way out, or do you want to just try to force your way out with strength and?
Well, even on my best day, I don't think I could strength my way out of this. And currently, I have one might left, so it's got a wiggly sort of thing.
And you've got that cape. The capes are such a bad idea, Yaren. We told you.
But it's such a handsome cape.
It is a handsome cape.
If shucking off the cape would help, then I will do that. I can always pick it up. It cleans itself. It's an oddity. So
nice.
I'm going to try and squeeze my way out of this thing, and I will apply a level of effort. effort.
Okay.
And I am trained in speed defense, but I don't know if that applies for this.
I'm going to let that apply for this, yes.
All right, then that's 2 levels of east.
Okay.
I rolled a 5. I will spend my other XP.
Okay.
I rolled a 2, so I'll take the 5.
I have a 1 XP from when we first started, when we first began the game. I'll give that to the Arcus. I don't want to see him cheat up in front of me.
Oh,
That will
gosh.
make both Syl and Gala not want to ever come out again.
And it'll be bad dreams. All right, I'll reroll again with that XP. And Bruce's XP gives me a Bruce roll of 2.
Wow.
So I'll stick with the 7.
Okay.
Goodness.
It was a 5, right? Yeah. Okay, it doesn't.
With
5
2
or
steps.
7 doesn't matter.
Oh, sorry, did I say 7? I think I added them together. So 5 with 2 steps.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. This is your action, not its action. So you don't take extra damage right at the moment, but you also do not break free.
Okay.
Does anyone? So you guys moved. So I think that's everyone's action, right?
Yeah.
Then the creature is just going to shake and rend Sean's character, and
Ugh.
it's going to do another 10 points of damage.
Oh my gosh.
And I think you're muted again, Sean.
Yep.
Sorry, I keep doing that because of cats. So that is my last might point, so I move 1 step down the damage track.
Oh my gosh.
So that the remaining 9 rolls over to speed, and I only had 9 speed left.
Oh no!
So I am conscious by sheer force of will.
Oh no!
My blood hurts.
All right.
We gotta hit it hard and make it drop your end.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay.
Okay.
This happened.
So let's go back to Syl.
So Syl has phased out of this. Is it too far to run around the force field and reach the creature if I wanted to?
If you want to run around and actually touch it, yes, that would be an action to get all the way around.
I'm trained in running. I'm pretty quick. That's kind of my jam. Do you think I could make a check or make a roll to see if I could do it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So Syl has had her face right up against that force field and has had to see the rending of her friend in front of her, and it's really not okay. So she's going to try to take off running.
Okay.
I rolled a 19 and a
Wow.
tease.
Okay.
So
You move with incredible speed, maybe unconsciously phasing through the branches and whatnot that are in your way, and get to the other side.
Excellent. And so I had applied deadly poisons to those 2 daggers I had, and so I am going to I'm going to chuck at least one of them, I guess. I probably only have time to throw one accurately, but I'm going to try to. No, I'm going to run right up to it. This is not a good idea, but I'm just so overwhelmed by it that I'm going to run right up to it, and I'm going to try to stab it into that fleshy bit in the corner of that thing's giant maw, that right where Yaren had stabbed it before, hopefully, and try to get him to drop it. Drop it.
Well,
Drop it, boy.
fortunately, it is true that holding Yaren's weight has made the creature kind of bring its long serpentine neck and head down a little bit, so it is within reach to hit it on the side of its face, right at where it's holding your friend. So go ahead and make an attack roll.
Okay, I would
and
spend
so this is
effort.
a dagger, so it's going to be eased. Do you want to do anything else?
I'll spend effort. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yeah, ideally, and this is probably not going to happen, but ideally, she would love to hit it right in like the roof of the mouth or something, right? So I'd love it to get in the mouth if possible, but anywhere on the facial region, it's going to be a bonus.
Well, its mouth is not fully closed because it is holding Yaren.
But it's pretty closed.
It is pretty tight.
Okay, then I'll just spend the effort to hit.
Okay.
I rolled a 17, which is pretty great. So extra damage, and it does poison.
That is gonna successfully hit it, and it's going to do an extra point of damage. So that's 3 damage with your dagger,
plus the poison,
and plus the poison.
5 points of damage.
Okay. That.
I could maybe trade some of that damage for the effect of, hey, get my buddy out.
That is ultimately your goal, is to get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So really then, what maybe happens instead is you see the opportunity to do what you are shooting to do there, and you kind of wrench it in between 2 of its teeth, right, and kind of give it a twist. You don't think that in the end you're actually going to get any of your poison into its system, but you do cause it enough pain that it makes another one of its noises, and it opens up its mouth, and your friend's body just kind of slumps to the ground right there at your feet.
Okay.
And the other 2 of you are also right there.
All right.
The creature does not look particularly hurt at this point, and Yaren does.
So as we're running, I'm going to talk to Sinal in the language we've created over the years, and I'm going to say, should we use a cipher to try to tangle its legs? I mean, essentially, should we add at it?
Ah. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know. Is that better than?
Why
not doing any damage.
I can try and do that while you try and zap it with your ability to disrupt mechanisms.
Okay, so I'm going to untwist the cipher and give you half.
Okay.
Right, and then we're gonna
run around it.
Yeah.
This is probably.
That will be an action that will take both. You'll have to both.
We'll both have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think let's try to do that. What do you think?
I'm up for it.
Okay.
It's very. Let's give it a shot.
So why don't you both give me a roll for this action? It's going to be based on speed. And I pretty much understand you're just kind of running each in a different direction, right? And around it.
What could go wrong?
Okay. Looking for a roll from both of you.
Okay.
I don't have any training in anything that approaches this, so I'll apply effort.
Okay.
I have an XP. I saved it.
It's not 1. It's just 4. Sure, I will take your XP.
Okay. I rolled a 16.
Okay.
All right. It's much better. 13.
Nice.
I applied effort. Thank you.
Okay, so the 2 of you basically accomplish exactly what you were hoping to do, and run around this thing and probably have a chance to get sort of all the way around it and back again, giving this thing a good loop or 2 around its legs. And it immediately begins to struggle in there, but maybe as you were hoping, it's not just the ends of this thing that are sort of clingy. The whole thing is kind of sticky. And so you have kind of wrapped it in a big long strand of goo. You don't know how long that's going to last, but it immediately begins struggling and opening its mouth and angrily kind of just thrashing about. You think that those big front metal legs of its probably will make pretty short work of this, but you are pretty sure that you may have bought yourself at least a tiny bit of time to do something, which is what? Because it spends its action struggling.
So we have kind of 2 options at this point. We could either just all run and we can try to send it back in time again, or I can try to touch it and render it unable to function for 1 more round, and then we can run and try to send it back in time, or we can try to kill it.
We're not doing great at the killing it part
No.
so far.
Plus, we've got to carry Yaren at this point, I think.
We've got that hover device to help carry Yaren, which at least...
Oh, yes. Nice.
I mean, I can take a recovery roll and get mobile again.
True. That seems
Yeah.
smart.
Should we just assume that that's your action no matter what, Yaren?
Yes.
Go ahead and roll for your recovery then.
I rolled 5 plus 1.
Nice.
Nice.
I say send it back in time, Gala, since no one's in its mouth.
Okay, so we all run around the force field again?
Even if we are in a time loop, we'll be prepared next time and have a better plan.
Will
Hey,
we?
Monty, I was wondering what happened to Syl's poison gas cloud.
It's still there. It's pretty visible, so I assumed people were avoiding it.
Mm-hmm.
The creature doesn't seem to be extraordinarily intelligent, so it might not be as careful about that. But
All right, so we're going to all run?
Yeah.
where
Okay.
run to where?
I'm going to run to the device so I can reactivate the device.
Okay, so back
Around the
around
force field.
around the force field. You as soon as you step onto the platform, the pedestal rises up again. Galen, you can recover and basically
Yaren.
move an immediate distance. I'm sorry, Yaren. You can move an immediate distance, so kind of to the one side of the force field.
I will stay near Yaren with my hammer out, just in
Nice.
case it comes after him and tries to eat him again.
Okay. But it's going to take Gala. It's going to take your whole round to get back over there. Syl, what are you going to do?
Gosh, I think I'm gonna distract it so that when it does break through. I mean, I'm not in the. I'm gonna distract it so it doesn't murder Yaren. So I'm gonna take a bunch of steps back and I'm gonna start shouting, strange animal calls at it, trying to emulate its weird little murmuring noise, and generally trying to look big and flashy. And I've got all sorts of, glittery things on my vest, so I'm just trying to distract its attention.
As she starts to do that, can Yaren just yell at her and be like, "Get away from it, it might take you with it."
I'll be fine. I'm very quick.
I mean, the Numenera device might teleport you with it.
Right. My hope was that I ran, when I took my steps back,
Okay.
It was out of the
So
way. of the
you
Numenera
have
device.
backed away from it,
Yes.
but you're trying to draw its attention to
Yes.
you. Okay. So it takes its action and as you feared, right,
Yes.
just tears through the strands angrily. And in fact, not only does it do that,
No.
but Syl, this geometrusion is coming your way.
Oh gosh.
Because you are perfectly successful in your action as you draw its attention, and it is opening its mouth wide and making an attack against you.
Beautiful. I'm going to give my XP to Yaren. Good luck. Okay, so I will. I'm getting a little low on that speed pool, but I think this is worth not getting murderized. So I'm going to spend a level of effort to try to dodge out of the way nimbly.
Okay, so you're easing it by 1.
I am easing it by 1, and I rolled a 16.
Nice.
Not bad at all.
Not quite nice enough,
What?
but really nice.
Oh my gosh, this thing is brutal.
As it bites you for
no.
10 points of damage.
Oh no!
I am down that damage track. Oof.
It does not do what it did to Yaren. However, it does not keep hold of you in its mouth.
Okay.
So you're not held. 'Cause
Wow.
I already gave you the 1 gem intrusion. I'm not going to give you
Thank
2
you.
on 1 creature action.
Cool. Yeah.
So you're horribly wounded.
Yes.
But still standing.
Struggling. Yep.
Okay. That's its action. You guys all have an action. I'm pretty sure I know what Gala is doing.
I'm yelling, "Get out of the field! Get out of the field!"
Okay. What is everyone before she pushes the button again? What are you guys gonna do?
I'm gonna just hold my ground here next to Yaren, and if he's pulling back, I will keep. I'm much more able to hold it back, but I'm worried. Yeah, that's what I do.
I'm going to fall back an immediate distance, but I'm going to be taking aim at it this turn.
Okay.
Ooh.
just in case. Trying to find the softest, most vulnerable spot on this creature. Since I've had an up-close view of...
Yes. You could write an essay on the smell of its breath at this point. Okay. I think, Kayla, you have an important role to make.
All right, so I am trained in Sorry, go ahead.
I will say that the task is easier now because you've done this exactly before.
Okay. And I'm trained in the Numenera and understand Numenera, and I'm going to apply a level of effort.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm going to roll a 19.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay.
I'm so nervous.
So, the creature just disappears. The force field just disappears. But at this point, you begin to notice some other things that seem strange. The cloud of poison gas is gone. I'm sorry, Sunal, you, as you were backing away to protect Yeren, you definitely remember just kind of stepping on and mashing over this small little bush and just cracking its stem, and it's normal again.
So are we the ones being pushed back in time?
I think
I asked Galen.
I'm going to ask the data sphere that.
Ooh,
and
that's
see
a
what
great
I can
question.
figure out.
Okay.
I'm going to tap into the data sphere and just take a moment of silence and see what I can learn. And I'm going to ask what is exactly happening with the time shifts here.
Okay.
I'm going to take a recovery roll.
Okay.
And I roll a 14.
So you activate this cipher, Gala, and are sort of drawn into this mass of information, and you're trying to sift through all of it, and you get an understanding, a better understanding of what's going on here, and that is indeed what Sunal suggested, and that is that you haven't been affecting the creature with this device. You've been affecting yourselves, but it's even more complex than that, because what this device seems to actually do is sort of create an artificial bubble of reality that exists in time only about, you're guessing, maybe about 2 hours or so. And
No.
basically, you're going to continue, you strongly suspect, to just kind of loop back around to that same beginning point of about 2 hours or so, unless you could find an exit.
I think
the
we know
one
where.
we just took apart.
Oh no, we got to put it back together. Unless we didn't actually take it apart because we're back in time.
Right,
Good
right.
Let's
point.
go quick,
All right,
quick. Let's go find those guys and not kill them.
well, let's see if they're still here.
Well,
Okay.
like if we were in the past, who knows where they are.
Well, let's go find out.
Yeah.
Okay. You go racing through the woods, and you reach that point where you see the glowing pedestal with its leaf-like synth protrusions over the top of it, and you don't see the people that you saw there before, but you also see that it is not taken apart.
Thank God.
Okay. We can do this.
I will give another inspiring speech about understanding and using the Manera, and kind of calling on personal anecdotes of how great we've been so far at succeeding at using these devices, and use my anecdote ability to make everybody trained in understanding the Manera.
We definitely need it.
I'm going to take a recovery roll, sorry.
I'm going to take a round or two and use some of the responsive synth that I actually have some, but I'm going to, I still have the one I got from this machine?
I think they took the iodum,
Okay.
and you took the cipher. Or you were sort of in the middle of negotiating of who got what there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I still actually have some myself as one of my character abilities. I have a few. I start with a few. I'm going to take that, and with the right tool for the job ability, I want to kind of spend some time to try and help, if I can. It's possible. This is too complex of a task to help Gala activate this in the proper way to get us out of here. I don't know.
Okay.
It might be too much. It might be too far beyond this ability. But if it does work, it will provide an asset.
Okay. So you're all gathered around this thing and using your resources and your knowledge.
Phasing.
And Syl, you hear as everyone's doing this, and you're recovering, right?
Yep.
Or
Yeah. This turn I am.
you hear off into the woods a voice that says, "They look dangerous. We should not approach." And you hear shh, shh, shh.
Oh my gosh. I yell out to Farragon, and Neem, right? And I yell out right away. And I think I yell like a really rapid. We met you but it was in a time bubble. We're friends. We know you're from, and I list like the town they're from. It's Othmar, right?
No one ever believes that.
We've been stalking you.
Yeah.
So
it's
as
really
you're
cool.
beginning to just say all these things and you're using
Word
their names
vomiting.
and everything, you hear Neem's voice say, "That human female sounds insane." And
Oh, yeah,
then
I do.
you hear Farragon say, "She knows our names." And so then you see Farragon kind of come out of the trees a little bit. He looks, kind of cautious and like he's ready for danger, but he's parting through the trees and he says, "Who are you?"
And I will do my impressive chatty chapter.
Please step in.
Very similar language that I did before.
Yeah.
Talking about the friendship between, that we try to strike out between Othmar and Ellomyr, etc., and being the personable Arcus.
Okay. All right. Do you want to make your persuasion roll as part of that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I roll an 11, and
Okay.
that'll ease 2 steps with the ability.
Okay.
I'm trained in persuasion already, and this eases it by 1.
Okay. Like he did before, he seems swayed by your words, and so he kind of comes out, and he says, "Indeed, my name is Farragon, and I am from Othmar, and this is my friend Neem." And then Neem comes out, and you can see that he's just looking at Syl, and kind of you can almost get the idea that he's just scanning her for problems.
Goodness.
Because just to be clear, Yaron, you did not in your speech talk about time loops and having met them before or anything like that, right?
Right.
Okay.
So that was the icebreaker, and now we can get into the weird stuff of, we met you a couple of hours ago, we used a Numenera device that has created a time bubble, we are
All
trying
right. They already, as soon as you start saying that, then they both start kind of shirking away a little like, what are you talking about?
Oh no.
Also, and when we end this time bubble, we can salvage some iodine from this device with you.
If they come in our time bubble. So I'm just going to be like, hey guys, nice to see you again, but keep on working with Sunal's help to make this happen.
Okay. So they still seem not at all convinced that they have met you before and that you are somehow traveling through time. But they're just kind of standing there and they're watching Gala. And actually, as moments pass, as Gala is working with Sunal's help, you almost get the feeling that they're both of them are just so sort of enraptured with the Numenera that they're kind of drawn in by just even seeing Gala, studying and examining and, activating controls and whatnot. So that is, at least as far as they are concerned, that's the great equalizer right there.
Speaking their
so
language.
Gala, you're going to need to make a roll.
Yeah, am I worried that these guys are going to get caught in this, like, do I understand why it's us? Or do I just need to, Hail Mary it and hope for the best?
To use the kind of weird terminology we were using before, right? The other thing is the door in, and this is only a door out.
Right. Okay, so they're not in it, probably. And so, okay. All right, okay, so we're going to give this a shot. Sunal is going to help me. I am currently specialized in understanding Numenera,
Okay.
and I'm going to apply a level of effort.
Okay.
15. Man,
Wow,
I'm rolling
nice.
well tonight.
Yeah.
Very similar to when you were standing by the other device and the creature and the things just disappeared. There's a similar feeling as this thing glows more brightly just for a moment with the same kind of orange light that was in the transparent plinths. And suddenly Neem and Farragon are gone.
Okay.
And you're all just standing there where you were before, in the same condition, the same equipment and everything that you had before. Nothing about you has changed.
We run screaming.
Is the
No, not
device the same, or does the device look like the one we dismantled?
No, it's not dismantled.
Okay.
So even though you are sitting there, some of you still with some ciphers that you pulled out of that thing,
Right.
that thing is currently still intact.
I would like to suggest that we now try and very sneakily go back to the Gambado and try and get out of here.
Yeah, I left my auto mender that I made back there too, which would really help maybe Yaren.
But
All right.
But do we break apart this machine and then go back to the vehicle, or do we just
run?
run?
We're going to do that 2 hours from now.
Oh goodness.
I don't know.
We got
I'm
some
so tempted.
ciphers. Maybe we should just cut and run.
Does anybody have any chalk? We could leave a message for them and
Oh.
for ourselves when we show up later.
Oh my goodness.
This time travel stuff is not my forte.
I have stories about time travel.
I'm sure you do. Well, as Gala understands it, it actually isn't time travel that these devices somehow create, just like this artificial bubble of about 2 hours of time.
So they're artificial pocket limited dimensions that pop ish, or we've popped out of one ish.
Mm.
Okay,
That doesn't sound like a thing.
that doesn't sound like it. Well, sometimes when you learn how to salvage some of these iotum, you have to learn some pretty tricky concepts.
I was told there would be no
Never talk
math.
about this again.
So you're going to go back to the vehicle?
Yeah, I think we need to regroup.
I'm
All
hurting.
right, cool.
I'm hurting.
Stealthily.
I think we will then say that you get back safely to the Gambado, and we will end the session there.
I
That
thought we
was
were
very
gonna
well
lose
done.
you guys. Oh my
I
goodness.
thought we were
That was so
TPK.
scary.
Jesus.
I thought Yaron was out of. And no more Yaron.
I could have taken one more hit.
Oh my goodness.
So scary. We were so close.
Yeah.
I thought that actually we were going to see a PC death there too.
We got.
But mostly thanks to your friends, you were able to get out of there.
Brother sister team activate.
As we walk and drive back, Yaren's going to talk to the siblings and be like, "You are a great, valuable addition to Ellomyr, and we hope that you stay with us." And, on behalf of
We are.
really appreciate you.
Cool.
Excellent.
Well, we want to thank everybody who watched us here on Twitch or is watching us later, as not live, but
If
those
you're
of
in a
us-
time bubble, though, you want to find the outdoor.
Nice.
exactly, yeah.
Hi, I'm Sean Reynolds, and I'm the
Nice.
Get out.
You look dangerous.
Oh, goodness. Should we let people know where to find us? We would love to hear what you thought about the stream and what you thought about the characters and how what you think about Ellomyr and the Valley of Sins. So come chat with us. You can find Monte Cook Games all over the place, social media wise. Look on Facebook and G+ and Twitter. It's all Monte Cook Games. Yeah, why don't we, Monty? Where can people find you?
Well, me personally, obviously MonteCookGames.com. I write a lot of stuff there, and you can also follow me on my personal account on Twitter, which is Monty J. Cook.
Lovely. What about Shauna?
Also, all the same things, plus ShaunaGermain.com. I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well. And right now you can find me quite a bit on Kickstarter too, since I'm in there making comments and reading everyone's awesome fiction.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean?
I'm Sean K. Reynolds on Twitter, but I mostly pay attention to what MCG's Twitter account is doing and retweet stuff.
Lovely. And Bruce?
Bruce Cordell. Search me out on the Google. You'll find me anywhere. And Twitter, a lot on Twitter, a lot on Facebook, and also, yes, on the Kickstarter, the Numenera 2 Kickstarter, going strong.
Absolutely. And speaking of the Kickstarter, we are rapidly nearing the stretch goal that is, what is it, 517 something? Which
Yes.
is, I'm sure that number is burned into your memory, Monty.
It's 517,212? Is that right?
200
That's 5 years ago.
Yeah. So that was the amount that the original Numenera Kickstarter funded for, which blew everybody's minds, I think. And what's going to happen at that stretch goal would be getting a taste of this. This creature that we fought today is one of the creatures on the cover of the hopefully funding Ninth World Bestiary 3. So go check that out and help us spread the word so we can make more wild Numenera things like that creature, the hunter,
or not.
Even if you're not interested in backing the Kickstarter, just go check out the Kickstarter and the comments where people are posting all kinds of fiction. If you look through our updates, like I was saying at the beginning, we're creating a narrative that is all about Ellomyr, which you heard a lot about in the game tonight, and you'll see the story of the building of the Gambado, and some of the characters or the NPCs that we mentioned show up in the fiction, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's very rewarding to see so many different people coming together to help us in creating this town.
And everybody, please share a post about the Kickstarter on your Facebook or your Twitter. Like, that's how we get the word out to people who aren't already familiar with what we do, and that's how we get new players.
Yeah.
This was really fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks for jamming, Monty.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That was tons of fun, and you made it out.
You did.
You survived the Valley of Sins.
Time to go home.
Yeah, let's I don't know if Soul's gonna.
Blood.
Oh no! Did you get your cape out? That's a.
I assume so. I didn't have to take it off. So
okay,
yeah.
That's true.
You got to survive cape intact.
Otherwise it's no survival at all. I mean,
I have a reputation of being a mean GM, but I'm not that mean.
Oh man.
Wouldn't actually recommend his cape.
No, nor his fancy shoes.
That's true.
No promises on the shoes.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I think we'll close down the stream.
Thanks for everybody watching.
Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.